Hi, it's Dr. Jeff Roy here at Three Crosses again. I'm going to give you just a quick little tour of our tabernacle, and it all begins here at the brazen altar. Everything you're going to see is built to the specifications given in Exodus to Moses, so you're dimensionally correct here on the size of the brazen altar that they would have used in the wilderness. When we first started here and we picked the site, we found this great big rock that I just loved. I mean, you got to love rocks if you're going to live in Muskoka. But I just saw that rock as a perfect place, as an imagery of the sacrifice, the rock, Jesus, our rock. And upon this rock, I'll build my house. So we built the brazen altar right around the rock. You can actually step in here, and you can actually lean back on the rock. I guess I'm going to do it now. And then I like to say, look up at the trees, which in the summer are full of green. But you're kind of, in a way, you're doing that Romans thing, offering your body as a living sacrifice to the Lord as you begin your journey toward an encounter in the holy place. It all begins with you offering yourself up. Let's move on. There's this tendency within us to fill up the silence, and even as we walked there for a little bit, I wanted to say something. But a little bit of silence is good. A little bit of gap is good. We don't always have to be talking. So you're approaching the tabernacle here. When we built it, we naturally ended up having some water issues coming off the higher mountain up by Gethsemane, coming down through here. And it just so happened that we had to kind of dig out a couple channels, and the water decided it wanted to run this way. So the water runs down alongside the tabernacle and then right out along the front. And I just love the imagery, talking about how a river of living water flows out from the temple for the healing of the nations. We didn't plan that. Actually, we love it when we don't plan stuff here and it works out, like most things. I picked this. This is our symbolic laver. Now, I'm sure it's not exactly as the one, but it's teak and it's Muskoka, and it symbolizes a cleansing. Offering sacrifice is a dirty business, and you come here, it's almost like symbolic of your baptism, just a cleansing, the labor. And to spend time here reflecting on your baptism and then on times down the road where the Lord brought a fresh cleansing to you. Maybe you need that even now. Come on inside the tabernacle. There's so many things I'd like to tell you about and how things came together, even these pillars, and how we had to have these little base pieces at the top and the bottom because of the length of our lumber. But in the end, we're like, they needed to be there. They had to be there. This is 45 feet long. It's 15 feet high. It's 15 feet wide. It's made out of rough hewn timbers from a building that came up from down in Caledonia Way, from my buddy Steve's church, a bunch of his friends. And they've been helping all along the way, as have many others. And someday we will do a video talking about that. So when you approach the consecrated table of showbread, this is the exact dimensions from Exodus. Now I added this little prayer shawl on, which came from my trip to Israel. Oh, which by the way was with Steve again. But here, let me read one of the verses. But to you who fear my name, the Son of Righteousness shall arise with healing in his wings. Malachi. Each corner has a different verse relating to what Jesus' sacrifice brings to us in terms of healing and setting us free. Over here we have the menorah, the seven-tiered candle stand or candelabra that brought light into the tabernacle. It was lit day and night, fueled by olive oil, all symbolic of the Holy Spirit. And then we needed a base for it, and we just love our rock imagery up here in Muskoka. So we had one of our local guys who's involved in our church build this, and it was just how the lampstand comes out and is based on and held up by the rock. It's so beautiful of the imagery of both Jesus and the Holy Spirit. Come this way. This is one of my favorite pieces. It's the brazen altar. No, sorry, it's the altar of incense. Got to get something at least wrong. What I love on it, just like the brazen altar, are these horns that are symbols of strength. But it's, you have to come here. You got to come here and feel them. Listen. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's just this roughness to them. And there's just something about them. And so this is symbolic of all the prayers that we offer up. Thanksgiving, intercession, prayers that were probably made on your behalf, and then prayers you've made on the behalf of somebody else. And they rise up to the Lord as a sweet smelling offering that's pleasing in his sight. Now you might notice there's one thing that wasn't in the original tabernacle but needs to be in a New Testament tabernacle, and that's the cross. The old rugged cross. Because it's the only way in. And so the veil, and I don't know if you can notice, I mean, I can't show you everything. You got to come here and see it. But if you look at this inlaid cherubim on either side of the veil, just spectacular. Another local fellow did that at the Long Star Church. And the veil, just as it's described, with the red, now you can see the red, which symbolizes cleansing. And we love the idea that it's opened up because of the cross, and that the only way into this place is past, under, or by the cross. There's no other way into the holy place and into a face-to-face encounter with God. And at Three Crosses, that's what we're all about here, is having face-to-face encounters with God. So, come on in. We want to invite people to appropriate the sacrifice of Jesus. If someone comes up on the mountain to see what this is all about, they'll have an opportunity to surrender as they enter the holy place, should they choose to make that kind of a symbolic gesture of going under the cross as they receive Jesus. This is the Ark of the Covenant. Once again, these are the dimensions. I always thought they'd be bigger, but this is the dimension. We made this out of Muskoka live edge wood. We had another special guy from a church down in southern Ontario who I asked to do it, and then he thought about it, and then he came back and said, I want to get involved in this. And he made this. He made, actually, the wooden pieces are his work. And another fella down in that area as well did the cherubim and the carving. This is one solid piece of wood. It was 4 feet long and I think 27 inches in diameter. The join here is not made. That is it's the only place where the wood is joined. Even the bases are joined together. But I'm getting ahead of myself. There's a lot to come and see, but most importantly, it's not about seeing the imagery. It's about having the encounter, the face-to-face encounter, coming and sitting at the mercy seat and meeting with God and letting him whisper his words, his precious words into your soul through your heart and mind, and becoming aware of him, encountering him, surrendering to his leading, and then abiding with him. And that's what it's all about. So I hope to see you up here sometime at the Tabernacle. And this is something also that's it's very much can be done in a group, but it's also very important just to have a solitary time up here with no one else and walk this journey and let each piece speak to you. I know that the Pathways students were deeply impacted by their solitary times next to each piece of furnishing here. Now, one other thing I want to say to you as we look out here, because when you come here in the summertime, when you look out from here, this is my favorite thing about the Tabernacle. That's entirely green, just entirely green space filled with leaves. And it's the most beautiful thing. So we hope to see you here next spring sometime, and maybe even in the winter for some time with the Lord. Signing off, Jeff Roy.